Afternoon, everyone. Here's our hello, Alex. I think I've seen you a lot at the moment, but not.
We are seeing each other. We are seeing each other a lot. Fortunately, I'm living with my wife 24 hours a day. Otherwise, I could have seen you more than her, and that wouldn't have gone down well.
No, she wouldn't have been impressed with that. But yeah, I'm definitely seeing you more than my boyfriend. That's happening at the moment because we live apart. So, into from there. Anyway, welcome everyone to our leadership webinar this afternoon. What is the job of a recruitment leader in these turbulent times? Let's use turbulent, new word, instead of all the other ones we've been using. So today was the launch of our leadership and management program, and I can see we've got some of those that have joined us here for this afternoon. So we've been working on this for about 4 or 5 months, and we've broken down what the job of a recruitment leader is. We've got 5 key competencies, and then each of those are broken into 5 key areas. So we're going to work through those today. We're going to look at what they are, give you a basic overview, but from there we'll also look at, okay, so in what way might they be different at the moment? Let's make it relevant to today as well as how it normally is. Is there going to be a new normal? I'm not sure that we're going to go back to where we were before, are we? I think it's going to be.
We're in this for the long haul.
Definitely, I'm liking it. I must admit, I like it. Right. So let's start off with our 5 competencies, and the first one, not surprisingly, is the leadership mindset and your own capability in the way that you communicate and the way that you look at things. So the 5 key areas: your communication and influence, your managing and adapting your leadership style to the individuals within your team, having a growth mindset. I think we've dive in on that one a little bit deeper because the growth mindset is key to where we are at the moment. Managing your time, especially if you're a billing manager, we know that is a problem. And also then managing your manager. Now, obviously, if you're the boss, then maybe there's some self-reflection needs to go on there. But if you're not, it's about managing your manager as well. So that leadership mindset, put my teeth in, leadership mindset, that's hard to say, and capability. So talk me through your views on this then, Alex.
I mean, for me especially, I think a large part of leadership is about the mindset with which you approach the challenges. It can be very frustrating working with people that maybe don't want it as much as you, maybe aren't doing the things that you want them to do. And it's almost, sometimes I describe it as leadership mindset is almost about seeing it as a vocation, as opposed to something that accelerates your well-being and financial success. Because actually the easiest job in recruitment is to just work your desk and bill as much as possible, where leadership is just a pile of problems.
I wonder what you were going to say then, but you're right. Going in with the right mindset in the first place. So when I became a leader and a manager, the first thing that I communicated to my team is my goal is to make you better than I am. I want you to exceed what my capabilities were as a recruitment consultant. So straight away, they had this vision that I had their back and I was there for them, and it was going to be important that they did better than me. So it was all about their success. It wasn't about me. And I'm hoping this is going out on LinkedIn as well, that potentially I'm still in contact with a lot of those consultants that do run their own multi-million-pound companies now, and one's just sold hers for a lot of money.
Very nice.
So, it'd be nice actually if
you get a split, right? You get a split on that, don't you? Because without you, she'd be nothing.
No, not at all. Do it from there.
And that's one of the things I used to say to people that join my team is that my goal was, like, I basically say, look, I know you're not going to work for me forever, but my goal is by the time you leave working for me, you're able to get a better job than you would have got if you'd never worked for me.
Yes.
You know, and the best bit about leadership is the developing of individuals, helping them get more, helping them achieve their goals. It's the nagging bit. It blows my mind.
We don't nag. We'll get onto that in a minute, but you've just tapped into the second one, which is the second competency, which is supporting and driving individual performance. Because like we say, you've got to get in the right mindset, you've got to be able to communicate, you've got to be able to adapt, and then it's all about developing them and making sure that they are going to be the best that they can be. So let me just clarify the 5 key areas in here. So self-sustaining, it's the S's I'm struggling with today. Self-sustaining motivation. So in other words, getting them to a place where they actually want to do it, they get out of bed in the morning, it's tapping into those drivers and their motivations that you as a leader need to do. Adaptive approach to performance management, which is where you were just talking about. So it's not nagging, it's performance management. And again, that links back to everyone being the best that they can be. Developing their skills to high performance, which obviously was my favorite, because to be able to develop people's skills as a trainer and see someone going from not being able to do something to being really capable, then that performance management element and making them better, wonderful.
And that's one of the weird things in recruitment. We often think performance management is the thing you do before you fire someone, rather than it being everything that you do. It is about managing and motivating and inspire that person to perform. Maybe
this is what we should throw out. I think it needs a rebranding, performance management, because you're right, it gets a bad rap, and there's no reason for it, because what you're talking about is the managing underperformance. Maybe this is the nagging bit that you were talking about. So again, if there's a process, and that's our final competency, but if there's a process as to how things work and what's expected and people know, then actually you never need to nag, because they know for themselves and they either want to do it or they don't. And that comes back to that capability. Can they do it? But also, how committed are they? What's their commitment level, motivation levels? Maybe they just don't want to do it. So there's lots to talking in there. So what's one of your key sorry, I hadn't finished the last one. Motivational one-to-one meetings. So that then links back into it as well, to develop their performance, that coaching element, moving them forwards all the time. So what was your favourite bit about it then? Let's go with that first.
Well, I think in today's market, I think the most important part of that is really connecting with the individual's goal and purpose. Especially when we're working remotely, we can't make anyone work. I mean, we can't do it when we're sitting next to them. So the fact that we think we could do it when they're sitting in their bedroom or at their dining room table. And I think I often ask managers what they often say, how do I make this person do that? And I go, you can't make them. You have to make them want to do it.
Yeah.
And the only way to make someone want to do anything is to show them what they get from it. If you think about it, as a human beings, we're always thinking, what's in it for me? And successful leaders in today's market are talking to their team about what is in this for you. What are you wanting to get from this? How do you want to be, and what do you want to be after this period?
And in the program, obviously, all of this we go into in great detail over a year. There's so much to it. But this is where we tap into intrinsic and extrinsic motivators. So those extrinsic motivators are things that you can do to someone. So I've got an itchy lip for some reason. I'm going to have to give it a good old scratch. Otherwise, I'm going to be doing that forever.
We're doing the whole sort of, what's the teenage witch called?
Samantha, was it? No, Tabitha was the little baby. Yeah, Samantha was the... Actually, I've had that before on a webinar. Obviously,
no, it was Ivy. There was a cartoon when I was a kid. She used to wiggle her nose and then...
Yeah, Bewitched.
Yeah.
From that anyway.
It was Vicky the Viking. That was it.
Oh, okay. That's something different then. I'm a little bit older than you. So mine was Bewitched in the early 70s. Maybe the late 60s, actually. Okay. Back to intrinsic and extrinsic. So the extrinsic, I suppose, is the only thing in the sense that you could do to people, but it's not about... It's still about them wanting to do it. But that's where you'll give them... incentives, commission, bonuses, prizes, all of these things to go, woo. So this is the carrot and the stick, the extrinsic. Is it something I can give to them that they want, or is it something that I can smack them with if they're not doing it well? And that's your nagging element coming back in there. So, I mean, they work, but only in the short term. It's the intrinsics that we really want to delve into. And that's where you were talking about they have to want to do it for themselves, and therefore their intrinsic motivators about what it's going to do for them, how it's going to make them feel, how it fits into their values, all of those elements. We go into a lot more detail. Right, let's move on to number 3 then. So number 3 is about building successful teams. So yes, you've got great individuals, but one's not enough, is it? You need to have a team behind you. If you're going to be really successful, you want more and more people being good at what they do. For me, a team of 6 was perfect. Love that. to really get somewhere, a team of 10. Once you get past that 10, I think it becomes a lot harder to do what you do and to give them the time.
Do you think, as a billing manager, what's the maximum number of people you think you could manage?
Yeah, 6 as a billing manager, and then at that point I would expect someone to move into just management. Now remember, just management also means lots of coaching, and therefore you are doing calls with that person, you're going on meetings, you're looking after the service reviews of the top clients in your business, in your sector. So it doesn't mean you don't do any of the work anymore. It just means that you won't be getting all of the
sort of, you're doing the work through them.
Yeah.
And often I think someone always asks me when someone's a non-billing manager, what's their job? And I go, well, it's basically a third looking after the people and their pastoral needs. It's a third business development, and it's a third training. And anything outside of that, which is probably meetings your director pulls you into, other things that aren't going to help you make money. And often I think managers, especially non-billing managers that are in bigger organizations, they get dragged into stuff that isn't in any of those 3 categories, because those are the only 3 things that are going to help you make your team successful.
But what you're forgetting there, Alex, is what's going to actually help you to develop. So you're thinking everything about them for their third. There's got to be a 10% for you, surely. So let's just knock those down to 30, 30, 30. 10% is all about you. And that's where your meetings with your manager, you would hope to be learning. Certainly the client meetings I went on with my directors, I learned so much every time, and I was making masses of notes and things that I loved that they did, and then I emulated. Again, it's one of those things. Look at what people do. If it's fit you and your personality, nick it.
I'll give you that 10%. I'll give you the 10%. I'll give you the 10%.
You've got to develop yourself. So building the successful team then. You've got to have a vision, a mission, and a purpose. They need to know where you're going and want to come with you. You need to have your team value proposition. So what is it that you're actually offering to meet their needs? That's that pastoral care that you talked about. Effective attraction strategy and hiring process. So how are you going to make sure people want to join that team? How are you going to onboard them to make sure they're successful as quickly as possible? And then how are you going to keep them? What's the engagement strategy that goes with that? Well, there's 3 huge topics there all in one go, just on one piece.
Angela, you're reading off these long lists of competencies. So if I'm a leader, should every leader be trying to master every one of these competencies?
I want to say yes. Trying to master, yes. We're not going to be brilliant at all of them, but you can get better at all of them. So
a lot of it depends on where you are in your career. So early stage management is maybe more focused on mindset and learning to develop those individuals. As you become more experienced, it's more about developing the teams, because you've got your head around it and you know how to get people. It's about how do you actually scale that beyond the 1 or 2 people that you might have had at the start.
The thing is, if you're not good at the 1 or 2 people, the likelihood of you actually getting a big team is pretty minimal anyway, isn't it? So it's logical that you're likely to start that way, unless your company, if you're a new manager that's not trained before and they give you 10 people, I would want to question that, because I think that's probably setting you up to fail. So therefore that 1 or 2 to be trialing everything and working with them. And of course, if they're successful, you're going to need more people, and that's where it grows. And now you get into the element of being able to build that team. So it's that new consultant productivity as well as part of that team, making sure that they are being successful.
And what I think one of the exercises we do in the gym is often about a manager working with their director to define which one of those competencies is most important that they work on today.
Yeah, I mean, if we've got these 5 main competencies and then the elements with them, think of those 5 competencies as 5 plates that you're spinning. You've only got 2 hands, so you can't do all 5 at the same time to the same level. What you can do is focus on 2 at a time, unless you've got really dexterous feet. Just having a vision of that. And therefore, it's about, okay, let's focus on these 2 as a priority. And it might be for this week, this month, this quarter, but you've got to keep going back to those other 3, and then things will get switched over. That's why I love John Adair's action-centered leadership model, because his has got 3 circles in it. We're going to be expanding that to 5, but it's making sure that you're trying to keep a focus on all of those at the same time, and you keep coming back spinning those plates all over the place so that you're getting better at it all the time, and nothing drops, nothing smashes. That's the key.
And also, I think Mark's made a comment which is around the biggest challenge is trying to solve too many issues and problems at the same time.
Yeah.
I read a book last year called The 4 Ds of Execution, and that was all about focusing on the critical few, accepting the fact that 90% of your capacity is involved in the whirlwind, just existing day to day. And then you've got 80 to 90%, which is actually where you can drive change and improve things going forward. And so I think it's just picking 1 or 2 things. And I think that's where, at the moment, as a leader, it's really important to help your team know what those 1 or 2 things are to be focused on.
Yeah, I mean, we can share this with everyone, the document that's got all the competencies on them and the breakdown. And what we've got people to do today that started on the leadership management program is to score themselves on all of those so that you can see, actually, where's my strengths? Where do I really need to work on that? Or what's the book title again, Alex?
It was the 4 Ds of Execution. The 4 Ds of Execution. I think it's by one of the Carnegies or Coveys.
We'll find it and put the link in.
Yeah. So and I think so from building a team perspective at the moment, what are some of the activities you think leaders should be doing to really fine tune their team in the current climate?
Yeah. One of the things that I really push for a manager to do is to involve the team in developing any new starter. Now, you might be in a situation where you're not going to have anyone new joining you at the moment, but let's work on the team that you have got and developing their skills. So if you haven't got a 6-month onboarding program for your new starters, and you haven't got, or even if you have got that, and you haven't got all the members of your team involved in that in some way, shape or form, now's the time to be tapping into asking them, out of all the things we get a new starter to do, so get your schedule together, what do you want them to do by when, set yourself objectives, what the assessments are going to be. We'll be working through this with our people in the leadership management program. So if you've never done an induction or onboarding program, then actually that might be worth your while just joining just for that, because you're going to get all those details. The key then is to get the individuals within your team to pick their favorite subjects. Start with their passions. What are they good at? What do they enjoy? And then work with them. So there's a little bit of train the trainer going on in there as well to help them to actually write the sessions and to create sessions that they can deliver to those new starters. So there's lots of results from this. 1, you're upskilling your own people. 2, you're getting rid of some of that time issue, which is our last one, isn't it? Making sure that you're managing your time, someone else is doing it. Because that was also a question recently. It's like when you get someone starting, the amount of time they take up in those first few weeks, well, it doesn't have to be that way. So let's show you another way.
It was interesting to say involve the team, Angela, and I know the new starters you may not have at the moment, but I was on a call yesterday with Lewis Welcome from Colleague Software, and we asked sort of like, what are they doing to engage their teams? And what a couple of the directors are doing is they're giving their team a problem to solve every week. So this week's problem, one of them gave was, how do we use Microsoft Teams to facilitate a placement process? So setting up different channels and inviting clients in and those types of things. And what was great is that they were basically setting their 3 or 4 people off in the week. They were having to investigate things. They were having to research things. They were having to collaborate together. And then they were reporting back to him at the end of the week. And I think, given almost every agency is having to redefine what it is and what they're going to be, involving people in that is a really important part of the process.
Yeah, you find that you get more results out of it. The team gels a lot quicker. People then know who to go to when they've got a problem, because they're like, they were the best person for that. That was their strength. I'm going to go to them. They're not going to keep asking the manager all the time. They've got other resources, and it just brings them in so much quicker and gels them into that team. I use Tuckman's forming, storming, norming, performing a lot when building a team, and therefore getting that formation done as quickly as possible and getting through the storming element, which is likely to come up, then actually, yeah, you get to that norming point where, okay, this is how we work, this is who's good at what, who does where, everyone settles in their roles, and then they start performing. But of course, you've got to remember, every time you bring a new person in, it kicks off again. You have to start from the beginning. Okay, so I'm just aware of time. We've got 10 minutes, so let's do the last two then. So sales process, I know this is one of your favorites. Building self-sustaining fee pipeline. So making sure there's a structure for the performance. You've got your proactive sourcing for your candidate strategy. You've got your business development culture that you've built. You've got a high value delivery culture as well, so you know what you're offering, you make sure that everyone else knows what you're offering, and you've got all the measurements and accountability, which links us back to that performance management as well. So go on, fire away.
Oh, where do I start? I mean, I come from an environment, and I work with a lot of small startups that come from big businesses, and everyone that leaves going, I hate KPIs and I hate our way. But actually, one of the keys to successful businesses, becoming successful businesses, is actually building something that runs on its own on a day-to-day basis. Otherwise, as you say, once you get by about 7 or 8 people, you cannot pull enough strings for that. And so it's about the principles, it's about the values, and it's about what's expected. And where I know, and it's a bit like if you look at the books where they talk about McDonald's. Everyone thinks McDonald's is a burger chain, right? They're not. They're a business that builds burger bars. They're not in the business of producing burgers. They're in the business of producing businesses that produce burgers. And how is it that basically, I think 99% of McDonald's franchises that have ever opened have succeeded? How is that the case? Well, the reality is there is a formula for success. And even the smallest firms can define their own formula that is their way. And it's about how they do recruitment that makes them different and makes them special. And aside from success, Angela, I think it's just a really important part of believing this is why we're different from everybody else.
Yeah, that sort of the self-belief, the pride in the badge, who we are, what we do, and how we do it potentially better or different, because that's really hard for a recruitment consultancy to try and differentiate themselves. So to go through that and know it's their process and the way that they put things together, and of course the personality and the culture that they bring to it as well, can make a huge difference to really shine a light on where are their strengths and what are the things that specifically bring them out and put them aside from their competitors. Okay, measurement and accountability. I just want to pick up on that bit. So referring back, Justine saying she loves that idea. Not sure which one that was, but maybe it's the induction.
The Microsoft Teams for recruitment.
Oh, right. Okay. So we want to make sure that people know what the expectations are right from day one, that there's some minimum standards that people have to hit, and therefore it becomes unacceptable if they're below that, and it's unsatisfactory if they're above the minimum but not hitting targets. So again, it's making sure that it's adapted to the individual, that there is a bottom line that everyone works with, and that is behaviors, activities and results. It's not just the results that you're looking for or the amount of calls or things like that. No, it all fits together, and behaviors is a key one from day one, because behaviors within the business, how we do things as part of our culture and how we like to interact and be with each other, then that makes a difference.
Yeah, and that's the I mean the numbers are key, and I it's easy to fall out of the habit of doing that, especially in today's world where you maybe just don't want to look at the numbers, but knowing how much you've got to do. KPIs, metrics have a really positive role to play in the success of your business, and actually converting that financial plan that I know we'll be covering in the leadership and management program, and translating that into operational activities. How many visits do we need to do? How many vacancies do we need? How many candidates do we need to register? Is really important.
And sometimes it just be really simple things. I've got someone that I'm doing an online induction with because everyone got furloughed and do it from there. So just targets for the week. Excuse my dog. I've been you've not heard him up until now because I've been putting myself on mute, and it's been working. Whenever Alex spoke, the dog was scratching because I've put him out.
We just thought we
I've even blocked up the patio door so that he can't actually get to it. He's worked out a way to do it. He's pretty smart. Oh, there we go. We've got a quiet moment. Right. So yes, this induction person that I'm working with, some simple things. Again, it was tapping into what's going to be fun for them this week. What can they actually get engaged with that brings a new skill that's helpful? So we just looked at LinkedIn because they weren't utilizing it. So targets for the week. Okay, get to the 500 contacts, get 3 testimonials, join 15 groups, get 10 endorsements, post 10 articles that you're interested in and you know that your clients and your candidates would be, and set up 5 Google alerts so that you've actually got some information to share that are of interest. Really simple things, but that's it now. They're off on a roll and they're already picking up information and opportunities because they're getting involved. And we don't want to be sitting back at this time. And that's a key thing. As a manager, you've got to be pushing to make sure that people are getting involved and not shying off. Because remember, all your clients and your candidates are at home and they're probably available for a call, potentially.
And that's why it's interesting you've got that, you've nominated activities which are sort of social media related, which often wouldn't appear in people's sort of metrics, as it were. So, I mean, I like that. And part of what we've got Alan Clark joining the gym, and he's going to be helping on the BD side. And one of the first topics we're going to be working on is that sort of building your online presence and social sort of network, as it were.
Yeah. Because it's all selling. People get hooked up on sales, meaning a sales call, but no, there's probably, well, actually, I know there's 46 different activities, because I have it on a slide for my courses, that are all sales related that you can be doing. And yeah, a good chunk of them, probably 10 or 15, are social media related activities. So straight away, and that's easy to do when you're at home, and nice and comfortable to do that. Right. Moving on to the last one then, our last couple of minutes. So the business planning and goal setting. So whereas the sales process was your focus, business planning and goal setting is my favorite. It's it from there. So this is your market strategy, it's your candidate strategy, it's your client strategy, whether that's for the year, the quarter, the month, or even the week. It all gets broken down so that each week, and potentially each day if you want to, you know exactly what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. That means you will achieve what you wanted to achieve for the year. Now, we know the plans have to adapt. Do you want to just take this for a second, Anne? Oh no, he stopped now. We're all right. So the plans have got to adapt at the moment anyway. So your year plan has probably been thrown out of the water, and it might be that you're having a quarter where you're giving yourself a break. And it's okay, for this quarter, I'm not going to get too het up about the results, but I am going to focus still on the activities that I was going to be doing, and I'm going to adapt those. I may not get the results that I'd normally expect, but hey ho, no one else is either. So don't knock yourself for that. So your financial planning, your budgets. It might be lucky that majority of companies are April to March, because this all kicked in March. So actually the new year budgets, everyone went, whoa, wait a minute. let's give ourselves an easy ride in Q1. I think that is the right thing to do at the moment. And then it's your pricing strategy as well. So not just sort of where you can negotiate to and what the bottom line is that people know, but what goes into that pricing strategy. And there's actually some specialists out there now. And one of them we're going to be bringing into the gym for a conversation all around this, around all those different elements that go into the pricing strategy to get you where you need to be, that's relevant for your business. What do you think, Alex?
Well, I mean, the planning's the hard bit for me, because I'm an activity person. So sitting down and thinking and writing is difficult. But knowing what good looks like, and actually, since this year I did create a plan, and actually when I was able to compare how I did to the plan, it was a great way of making me feel a bit better about what I did. It's difficult in a solo business because it's just you. When you work in a partnership or you've got peers that you work with, you can sort of play the role of accountability partner to each other to make sure you're hitting those numbers. So
yeah, have a plan, know where you're going, set yourself a vision that goes with that plan. That's sort of a nice feel good factor, that when you read it and you look at it, go, yes, that's us, that's our business, that's where we're going. And again, get everyone involved in the team in that vision. It's not just yours, because they've got to follow it as well. So we get them involved. It's a really nice sort of half-hour activity to create a vision if you haven't got one already, and then start focusing on those key objectives. What do you want to achieve? And that gets broken down into the vital few. You mentioned it earlier. It's you can't do everything all at once. So on a quarterly basis, what are the vital few? What are the ones that are going to tell us, are we on track? Are we not? Are we going in the right direction? So that you're always on it, and you're updating that every month. So there's lots to it. As we said, look at that, 29 minutes, 30 seconds. How impressive.
That's
and yeah,
brilliant.
we got the dog scratching.
To make my client call.
I'm always good with times, I must admit. That's been one of my strengths across the years, but there we go. So if you're interested in the leadership and management program, if you're desperate, we only started today. You can catch up if you want to join us now. If not, it will be running again in 7 to 8 weeks time. So June, mid to late June will be the new tranche going through. So let us know if you're interested. That's what it's all based on. We'll share that document so you can see all the 25 different elements of being a manager in these times. Alex, bye-bye. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for sharing that with us. We haven't written May's programs yet. So if you do have a suggestion for topics that you're really interested in focusing on, at the moment, the logic is going to be over the next 5 weeks, we're going to take these 5 subjects and spend a bit of time on each of them. Going into a bit more depth. But if there's anything you're really struggling with, guys, and you want some help, feel free to ask us. And if you're in the gym, you can post it into the relevant topic there as well. And we'll get lots of people. We're getting close to 1,000 people in the gym now. So there's lots of people to help and to share and to welcome you in and hopefully make your life a little bit easier at the moment. So stay safe, stay home, but enjoy the sunshine. I think we're going to get a whole weekend of it. Speak to you soon, guys. Have a great weekend. Oh, I forgot to say, 4:15, if you want even more of me today, Alas, Cripps and Clark, it's the end of the week. We get the wine out and we review the week of the stuff that's made us laugh, made us giggle, and look forward to what's coming up as well. So if you want to laugh with, start the weekend with Alas, Cripps and Clark, we'll put that out there as well. Okay, bye-bye.